The following has been brought to you by SJP World Media.
You're listening to In the Corner with Benny Mac.
Acknowledge me.
Unfiltered.
Or was it one guy in an office who chose you who's not here anymore and we don't talk about it?
Uncensored.
This kid is an absolute piece of... Watch your mouth, Michael Cole!
And unforgiving.
The final boss? Come here. Listen up, Dwayne, you bald fraud! Jeez!
Here's the man in the corner, Benny Mac.
Welcome back to In the Corner here on SJP World Media. First off, apologies. No show last week, but we got it now, so it's all good. Don't worry. We're going to be talking quite a bit of wrestling, to be fair. I say we, because again, thank goodness, from across the pond, Mr. Tyler is joining me. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, Benny. Thank you again for inviting me back on In the Corner. And I cannot wait to talk some pro wrestling, as we say in the southern part of the USA.
I love the way you say it, to be fair. My accent isn't as cool as yours.
Thank you.
Bye. Apologies first, because I've already said thank you, Tyler, for being patient as well, because we didn't manage to get around to the show last week. And it was a good, despite the detractors on the internet, the interweb, the people that know everything across the World Wide Web, I actually enjoyed WrestleMania. I read a comment, Tyler, that the WrestleMania after Raw, it was the worst one they'd ever seen. And I'm like, what the heck are you on about? Like, seriously. I personally enjoyed it. So obviously it's all subjective, I get that, but like it was a really good Raw, I thought, and a really good follow-on, and also creating of new stories and new matches and everything that's going on. So I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so what did you think of the Raw after Mania very quickly before we move on to this past week's Smackdown and Raw?
I enjoyed it, and I didn't really look at any of the comments. I'm glad you did, Benny, but yeah, go fickle yourself. How about that? I enjoyed WrestleMania. Yeah, wait a minute. Did I say something? Wait a minute. That was a T-shirt.
It was a T-shirt.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may be available. Listen, I'm as guilty as anybody else about picking these things apart, but I enjoyed the Raw after WrestleMania, so I'm trying to stay positive. Trust me, there'll be some negatives as we go along on this program, but Benny, I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I enjoyed it overall. There's all, even with these, what we're going to talk about last week's SmackDown and this week's Raw just gone. There are a few little bits that we are sort of like not fully sold on yet. But my logic is with it and everything that's gone on, is if we take Roman's bloodline story from start to finish, 3.5 years, it was a great story. So patience is what I'm going to put out into the ether there. I'll have a little patience.
It's a virtue.
Apparently it is, yeah. And I will admit, I'm guilty of not having patience. Sometimes we live in this era of Amazon next day deliveries. I think is probably the part of the problem in some cases. We want things.
We're spoiled. I mean, we want
are.
it right now.
I mean, I'm from an era where a film will come out in the States, and we had to wait probably a year before we got it on, VHS or whatever, or even coming to the cinema. So I'm not as impatient. I have moments, don't get me wrong, but as you said, it's a virtue.
It certainly is, and I have to learn that things are not going to come right when I expect them to be present. So I'm in the same boat, my friend. It just patience is a necessity, and I'm learning that each and every day.
And it's also a Guns N' Roses song, so it's
Okay, well, and if Guns N' Roses can have a song that's titled "Patience," then I'm in. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk music at some point. We might just do that when we might even throw some music talk in with this show occasionally when we get a chance.
Why not? And I need to have you on an episode of Tyler Talks Music in the future too. I've still got
Oh,
to
that'd
have
be
you on more
interesting.
wrestling.
Yeah, we
But yes, not a cheap plug, but since we were going that direction, why not?
yeah, why
Tyler
not?
Talks Music, SJP World Media, DDP Productions, in the corner. Who knows?
Yeah,
But
people call
I
it
would be down for it. Some
people
more musical conversation.
people call it cheap plugs, Tyler, but I do nothing but that on this show, and I accept every single form of plug, cheap plug, half expensive plugs, whatever you want to do. The cheap plugs, especially, we
Yeah,
will
two
take.
cent plugs, whatever.
We will take it.
I think yes, we will.
I believe in terms of the. I'm glad you mentioned the t-shirts. In terms of the SJ, the links below, but in the podcast description, but. In terms of the show, last time I spoke to Sai, I believe it is kind of under construction. Things are changing a little bit, so not everything might be available at the moment. But once, unless he's already announced it, I'm not sure. But once it's all sorted, it will be there. But obviously, anything you do buy or have brought in the past, we get a little bit of a kickback from it. I mean, and it helps the network, so we appreciate it. No matter what shirt it is that you buy, whether it's a chain wrestling one, an ITC one, or a Doctor Who pod, whatever, or a Tyler's takedowns, or Tyler Talks Music, whatever it is you buy, thank you very much for doing it.
Absolutely. Please go buy some merchandise because we said so. No, we're kidding. But to echo Benny's comments, please just buy something because it shows you're a supporter, and we want to support you back and spread the wealth of love to each and every one of you. And I'm not trying to be brother love, so don't worry. I'm not doing the impersonations.
I'm sure you do a brilliant Brother Love impersonation.
Well, I'm out of practice, or I was tempted to do it, but I'm afraid I'll butcher it and
Fair enough.
speak in comments online. So, yeah, I need to get back in rhythm with my impersonations with Paul Bearer and all that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Your Paul Bearer is brilliant. I remember using it on a promo video, I think, for yourself. But anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we talked off air very briefly of a few things we want to talk about because, like I said a minute ago, I enjoyed the Raw after Mania. I enjoyed the whole thing. It's as I've said already, and I've probably said it too much on this show. WrestleMania is kind of the season beginning and finale all at once, and then Raw is definitely the start of a new season. So I've enjoyed it. I've even seen a little bit of NXT, not a great deal, just only some of it, Tyler, to be fair. But these new women coming up to like Yulia and Roxanne Perez, which you've seen a bit of already, and obviously Stephanie Valkyrie. I think I've got that right.
I think so. It's close enough. I tried to listen to Michael Cole's pronunciation because that's a unique name. It's not as easy to say, but hey, I'm going to stick with it. Whatever you say, man. I think
It's been good to see
in the ballpark. Yeah.
It's a good way to test the general sort of audience, I think, for people that don't watch NXT. Like I said, I don't watch it as religiously as I used to back from the Undisputed Era days and stuff, as I said before. But seeing them having a bit of a chance on Raw and potentially, some good stories to come out of this.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's always nice to mix in the NXT women's division and some of the men. And just get this crossover from TNA. I know you're a big fan of. Just say his name. It's Joe Hendry. He had a big moment at WrestleMania, and it's. I don't get to watch NXT myself as much, but I did hear he opened up the program this week. So there's a lot of great stuff coming from that working relationship between the two brands,
Yeah.
TNA, Impact, and WWE. Pardon me, a lot of W's there, but it was just. It's great to see the cohesion and cohesiveness. I guess if my grammar is correct, I went to school, but sometimes that fails me. But yeah, Joe Hendry, I think it was great. It's spotlighting Impact, and I know we talked WrestleMania, but he said it himself when speaking of Hendry. He was not buried by WWE or Randy Orton. If anything, I mean, it gave them a huge, I would say, spotlight. And it
Yeah.
really would accentuate the brand as far as TNA, and the WWE. So why not? I mean, you're in there with Randy freaking Orton, and it's
Yes.
Joe Hendry at WrestleMania. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I was talking to my other half, and there was a lad that did. I can't remember his name. The lad that did the sea shanty song a few years ago, back during sort of the bully of tea or whatever it was, and he ended up doing that, and it went viral online. And this guy ended up doing the Brits randomly, So I'm not saying Joe Hendry's that, but like it is kind of that sort of vibe, isn't it? Like coming in and just doing like they're almost like being even the halftime show at the Super Bowl to a degree. I would say Joe Hendry coming in and who's this guy? Oh, okay, we all know him because he's viral. Like you said, people that have said that they've buried the company is bullshit for a start, but if people who don't watch TNA, who aren't really, anybody that knows who Joe Hendry is knows what TNA is. I think even if you're not an avid person who watches it, but he has made himself viral, given himself opportunities. He's the TNA champion, and then coming on to WrestleMania is nothing but, as far as I can see, yes, all right, he took the L, but this is Randy Orton, as you've already said. So I don't think it hurts anybody, to be honest. If anything, it's got more eyes on TNA, hopefully.
No, it has, and I hope it has brought a lot more viewers, to your point, for Total Nonstop Action Impact Wrestling. And with Randy Orton, it's only going to elevate Hendry's career. I mean, you're in there with a future Hall of Famer, a legend, in Randy Orton. And I thought he did great. I love the pose, and I know we're not talking Mania, but it makes me go back to that moment where
Yeah,
Hendry is
there's been a lot
doing
of
the pose, and
comments.
Orton hits the RKO.
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant. It was a great segment.
Yeah. The problem is there's been a lot of comments online, and it's hard, even though we don't necessarily take it all on board, but you can see people's reactions, and people's reactions are people's reactions. I get that. But sometimes I feel people are just doing it just for, lack of a better term, clickbait, for a reaction, for a rise out of people,
That's all it is, and I just get so tired of it. I'm really fed up with how people just want a reaction. Come on, I mean, we're all guilty in
But it's
some
not even a
ways.
reaction. A reaction's a reaction, but it's always a negative. It's always the
Yeah,
negative,
that's the well, and to your point, why can't we be positive about something? Because
Yeah.
you said it can be toxic. Everybody just wants to have a negative
Yeah.
type of outlook on
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. Again, we're going to go through a bit of SmackDown and Raw in a second. There are a few moments. There's a moment that you're not too keen on, and there was a moment that I'm not necessarily. I think it could be done a bit differently. It could be better. So, but we'll get to it. But we don't want to have it. I try to, and I think we've done it in the past, Tyler. We have our little moments where we want to moan about something, but generally we try and look at the positive. And to be fair, what WWE has done in the last 3.5 years, 4 years, nearly 5 years, I guess. It's been a slow increase of more good than bad. There have been moments, and there still are moments, but generally it's more good than bad at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of good. You're still going to have your ups and downs. I think that's with anybody. So for these people that are hopeful for Paul Levesque, Triple H taking over, they got good reason to be, but it still doesn't mean it's going to be perfect all the time. And
Yeah.
you have to realize they're human beings, and as talented and skilled and with all their expertise is what I'm trying to get at. They're
Yeah.
still going to have their faults, but at the end of the day, they've got a lot more successes, I believe, and I'm just very optimistic about the future of the company. That's not knocking the previous administration, because they still did a lot of great things amid the controversy. But that's for another time. But for right now, looking forward and ahead with TKO and Paul Levesque and the new management, I think they're on the right track.
Yeah, I agree. Talk about, that's a good segue about looking forward, Tyler. Aleister Black is back in WWE. I've been very vocal. I've been very excited for this, as you well know. It felt just in terms of crowd reaction, I don't think it. Maybe we couldn't hear it at home. I don't know, but it seemed a little flat. But generally, I'm going to say 70% there was sort of a cheer. There was sort of then there was also a bit of quiet. Maybe the people were waiting to something to happen. I don't know. But Miz is in the ring, cutting a promo about being there for so long. Grand Slam champion. I beat The Rock and John Cena in the same night, and it's like just Jericho. I beat Rock and Austin in the same night, and it's all that kind of thing going on, and that's fine. Now, I did see some comments. Well, first of all, actually, no, let's because I'm getting ahead of myself here. Did you see the Aleister Black return, and any thoughts on it, really?
I did not get to see the entrance. I did see where he delivered the black mass to Miz after he had provoked him. You could see that transpiring. So I'm interested with this whole fan reaction, knowing that he was one of their big stars in NXT. He was starting to make a name for himself on the main roster, but then he leaves for AEW, and he had success to his credit in AEW. With all due respect to that promotion, which I'm a fan of as well. But I think now that you're seeing, speaking of new management and the way things are being handled with Triple H in control, it's no surprise. We've mentioned it with Sai and BenNy yourself many a times, and you've pointed it out to your credit that we're seeing these former WWE stars that are coming over to AEW now eventually when their contract is over, not for all of them, but for a lot of the key ones like Rusev on Raw a couple of weeks ago. Now we're seeing Aleister Black. We
Yeah.
were wondering who it was going to be the vignette, but your assumptions were correct. I mean, it was Aleister Black, and maybe we're getting more of the NXT Aleister Black on the main roster instead of it being a downgrade. Let's face it. And once again, I'm not doing it to knock the older
Yeah.
administration, but Triple H has a better rapport.
He's
And
worked with him before
speaking
as
of
well.
relationship, yeah, with Aleister Black and Rusev and all these guys, and they're willing to work. I mean, they can take the money and sit at home, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, these guys are wanting to get out there and prove themselves again. Whether it's necessarily proving themselves, they've got a lot more to offer. And Aleister Black's a great example of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people are like, "Oh, why is he attack the Miz?" Now, how I've taken it, and based on what Alistair Black's character was before in NXT, I mentioned it before with the whole Velveteen Dream thing. Very, very simple but effective storytelling. Um, let's take the Miz character for a second. Always has something to say. Always very vocal. I've been here for so long. I've been this and I've been that and I've done this and I've done that. And that's the point. I think they've. I could be wrong. This is how I've interpreted the interaction with the returning Aleister Black in the Miz. Miz is saying, "Look what I've done. I've done this. I've done X, Y, Z. I've been this. I've been that, and I've done that, and I'm helping it, and blah blah blah." Aleister Black comes out to. I'm not going to say lukewarm reception. It was a positive reception, but it wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. Maybe I'm just. I'll have to go back and watch it. Maybe I'm misremembering.
You think it's because people were expecting him due to the vignettes where Rusev, the speculation was out there, but it was more of a surprise on Raw.
Yeah, I guess
You
so.
think that had anything to
Oh,
factor
actually, that's a
in?
good
And
point.
maybe I'm off base.
No, I think you might be right. They're expecting him. I mean, I think a lot of people were expecting him to return at Mania, which is why they released that vignette of telling us the date, which revealed to be SmackDown, obviously. That's a good point, though, Tyler. Yeah, maybe it is because people knew he was going to be there. So maybe it took it away a little bit. I don't know. But I'm glad he's got his old music back. I love that music. It means I can get it back on iTunes at some point when they finally re-release it. But in terms
I
of...
love his music.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
brilliant, yeah.
please continue.
Yeah.
I just was echoing your
Nah, it's
sentiments
it's
about Aleister Black. Yeah, it's intimidating, it's dark, it's eerie, it's mysterious, all the elements that he carries with that persona. I love it.
It just, I mean, we'll get... oh, no. What was I going to say? No. So, yeah, with The Miz in the ring, I've been here. They needed an opponent for Randy Orton. I could have been his opponent. I've been here for blah, blah, blah years. And I'm a fan of The Miz, by the way, so I'm not shitting on him at all. But what the story I think they're telling is that he's saying all this. I've done this, I've done that, as I've already said. Alistair comes out, doesn't say a word, hits that black mass, knocks out The Miz and sits by The Miz, looks at him, and we're out. Now, again, that's very basic. Now, looking at it, you'd be like, well, was that it? There's more to this. Miz has been walking around for so many years saying, I've done this, and I've been that, and I've been the champion. He says a lot of things. Aleister Black, what I'm getting at is, actions speak louder than words.
I agree. I think it's the subtleties, it's the nuances. Just when things look simple in nature does not mean there's not more to the story, and I think that's a very good observation because you tend to overthink these kind of things as a fan, as
Yeah,
somebody
of
viewing
course.
the programs. And Aleister Black, the Miz. Let me go back to him just briefly. He is just so talented at what he's able to do and bring to a program. He's a great entertainer. He can wrestle. We know he's an incredible promo, and he's grown so much from the his first year being a rookie. And sometimes you want to hate the guy, sometimes you want to cheer him. He's very versatile, and he's the perfect foil for Aleister Black to provoke him and call somebody out and for Black to make his return. So I enjoy how you bring out or bring up, pardon me, these details that sometimes are just the little ones, but they're so important to the overall story arc to where WWE is probably attempting. We're always
Of
speculating, so
course, yeah.
don't take my word for it. But I'm very fascinated by where this could go because now I need to watch the entirety of SmackDown. I was being honest with Benny, the host of this great program called In the Corner. I had to watch highlights, which sometimes we have to rely on the highlights to get caught up and have some sort of semblance of an idea on what's transpiring. But I cannot wait to watch this Friday night. Speaking of SmackDown, to see what's next for The Miz and Aleister Black, or maybe just Aleister Black himself.
You could even, with Aleister Black, I think he doesn't even have to say a word. And I think that's the point, really. He doesn't have to. His actions say it. I mean, we won't see vignettes or whatever, but, I don't think he... I could see foreseeably seeing this almost like a... You could even do like the Sting thing, where Sting didn't say anything for a year, and then all of us, so I'm not saying you'd necessarily do that, but like Aleister Black, is a character I feel that could literally just action say it rather than the words, and you could literally not have him say anything.
Yeah, in the same vein, Sting's a great point. The Undertaker, a lot of those guys that, especially, and the Undertaker more so than Sting, because Sting, that's where everybody recognizes him more as that crow type character. I've got a picture where I got a chance to take a picture with Sting because he was one of my favorites, excuse me, in WCW, and I'm glad he got an opportunity in the WWE and received the Hall of Fame induction, and that for his success in AEW. And we did get to see a rivalry between Sting and Aleister Black with the House of Black. So it was cool to see those characters meet. Uh, they each represented a different generation, but to see that culminate. So AEW did a good job of the storytelling. So kudos to them. But I'm just so curious to see how WWE takes his story now. And with The Miz, we're not only Aleister Black, but you said it. What are we going to see from The Miz next, too? Is he going to be involved in a feud with Aleister Black, or was he just there for this purpose, just to maybe get Black over? Not that he needed to be over with the crowd or anything, but it's been a while since he's been back in a WWE ring.
It could work out both. Like it could elevate Black with Miz, and it could also help Miz, because I don't want to use the word stagnant with the Miz necessarily, but he kind of has been a little bit on and off, especially in the last few years. He's managed to keep himself somewhat in the game, but we haven't seen much of him than we have in the past, is what I'm getting at.
No, I follow you, and I love The Miz. I mean, at first, I gotta admit, I wasn't the biggest fan, and I didn't get the guy, but now I do. I've grown to appreciate the work he puts in, because I've heard backstage he is, if they give him a script or anything, he still hits bullet points, but he's studying that thing. I mean, he's still coming off natural, but he's able to deliver. I mean, you can tell he really cares about how he's going about the process. So
Yeah.
I've grown to be a huge admirer of The Miz, and
When
he's winning it. He's winning in life anyways.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go any further, but I think people can.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
It-
Benny is
yeah.
helping me out as I'm going to struggle now because I shouldn't have went there. And
No, it's fine. Pardon me. It's Miz is just one of those ones that when he does serious promos, like the Talking Smack one, which is almost legendary at this point now, with going off on Daniel Bryan, he can do that. Or if he talks slowly and with a purpose, he's one of those guys that you kind of listen to. I'm not going to say he's up there necessarily like with a Paul Heyman or anything like that, but like he can deliver a great promo when he needs to. So hopefully he can. I don't know. I'm hoping maybe you might be right. Maybe I'm reading way too much into it. He might have just been there just to be there for Aleister Black to make his return. But I think there is potential here that could help Miz. Whether that's maybe he gets humbled and he becomes a bit more. Miz could potentially, because he always does the persona of the Hollywood and I'm better than you vibe thing, isn't he? So you switch him around a bit, he could be a contender, so to speak, going forward. So, but we'll see, I guess.
It could help each of them because not only with elevating Aleister Black, but you mentioned that assisting Miz on getting out of this rut. I mean, I think he's done the best that he could with it, and the Karrion Kross stuff was interesting. I got to admit, once I took the break from watching for a while, I only probably caught the tail end of it, and I think he was already partnered up with Carmelo Hayes. Speaking of the Miz, so I think he does need something, and I hope maybe with Aleister Black, it just, if nothing else, freshens up his persona. So you never know. Maybe he will be in contention, but the Hollywood thing is definitely worked for him because I think he actually has a resonance out there, even though he's a Cleveland guy. And so much appreciation to the Miz, and I'm with Benny and a lot of the fans. Welcome back, Aleister Black. I enjoyed watching his work in AEW while he was there, but I am sure happy for him getting a chance to return back to, I believe, as his home, because NXT especially, and now with the WWE. Of course, he was on the main roster before, but I can't wait to see where they take this guy now with some new creative.
Yeah, I don't know. The stuff he's doing with Carmelo Hayes is pretty good, but it's not quite hit what it's. I mean, he's now the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner. I think Carmelo Hayes has struggled with everything that's gone on. I don't think it's necessarily because of him. It's because of all the other stories that have been going on with Cody, and Roman and Punk, and there's a lot of other stuff going on, and big names come back and
and it's hard.
So
I mean, it's difficult for them to always jockey these men and women because there's so much TV they got to do. If they do house shows, if they tour overseas, all the production, and you got to take into account, a lot of the behind the scenes dealings and how they have to create all these things for what you see as far as the finished product. The finished product. I was going to say finished like a match, but that was the point I was trying to make. What we're able to view as fans on Netflix or USA or on a Peacock. I mean, a lot of hard work, and it's tough to always joggle the storylines because sometimes you may want to go here and then something else don't work, or you may tweak something. I mean, there's so much that they have to endure, and so it's easy for a lot of the people to sit back, and I've been guilty of it, and critique the thing to death or to pieces. And I'm like, I finally started trying to get more mature about it and go, I need to take some steps back because these guys are pros for a reason, and we're always going to have something we don't agree with and something we're going to like. Uh, but I've got to quit just overanalyzing this stuff, and I want to enjoy it. And it's just we have to remember there's a lot of work that goes into making these programs and what these men and women have to do. Sure, they're getting paid the big bucks, and rightfully so when they're on TV, but they're sacrificing their bodies. So a lot of respect for all of these superstars.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I've sat here and moaned about 3-hour Raws and 3-hour Smackdowns and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, there's only 2 hours for Raw, just over a bit, and then there's only 3 hours for SmackDown. Which, as a viewer, but you've got to then fit in sponsors, adverts, promos, whatever, keep sponsors happy, etc., etc. And there's commercial breaks that you've got to do on USA for SmackDown at the, so you sit there for 3 hours watching SmackDown, but ultimately, after you take the adverts out, it's probably about 2 hours 45, maybe a bit less. So
It's probably close to the 2:45 mark because it's no different than if you go back and watch the television series on a streaming platform or on regular cable. I mean, most of the time, if they're able to give you the library and you can go back and review those reruns, most of the time it cuts the original time. naturally, like it would a
Yeah.
film or wrestling in this
Yeah.
case.
I remember Friends being like half an hour long on TV over here, but that's with adverts. But actually, if you put an episode of Friends on Netflix with no adverts, it's like 22, 23 minutes. So, you've got to fit all these things in. You've got to go for commercial breaks, like I said. Anyway. So, but yeah,
No, I agree with the sponsorship. That's another nice observation because I just have to put myself in a position to understand that there's a lot that goes on with production, and I shouldn't say I'm in their position, but I'm just saying I had to really take myself out of that aspect and go, yeah, it's easy to nitpick. Sure, we're going to be aggravated because you get into this stuff.
yeah,
It's working. You're suspending your disbelief enough to where you get aggravated, but then I'll laugh about it later, and I'm like, you know, I need to back off and just enjoy the moment because
yeah, I get
it's
it.
so easy to be one of those people
But
sometimes
it's
to comment and
like, I mean, you could stick 9 matches on a card, then the matches are only going to be they're only going to be so long because you need to then put the adverts in and the promos in, the sponsors in. But then if you have 9 matches in a row, all right, yes, each match tells a story. We know that, but if you did that every week, there'd be no context of why these two are fighting. Why do they hate each other? Yeah, all right, championship matches are championship matches, but why are these two having matches? Is it for a future championship match? Is it for because he called the name? Do you know what I mean? So you need to explain these things, in order for it to mean something
you got to.
3 months down the line. You got to lay the foundation. If you'd have put the title on Roman and he lost it 3 weeks after winning it and Cody beat him, it wouldn't be if the 2-year journey that Cody had alone is worth. It was. I think I've already said this on the show, so I'm kind of going off topic here, but we've said, didn't we, with the initial 39, that Cody is not going to win, and then we were very much against him becoming the new world champion when they introduced the world championship again, because it would be, I think we used the word cheap. Right?
I just felt it would be too soon. Why not
Yeah.
let Roman still go over and be the champion and let him accomplish all those accolades, and then it made the moment where Cody actually
Won.
had beat Roman. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and the dream was fulfilled. At least that chapter of it mean that much more. So
Yeah.
we were both discussing that a couple of years ago.
But
So
yeah, it's
you don't always need to rush everything. Yeah,
absolutely.
please go ahead.
No,
I was
absolutely.
just going to add that point.
Oh, but yeah, sorry, the signal went then. But yeah, it's just a case of, and then also because Cody didn't win, we also then saw the implosion of the bloodline down, as it went along, and Jay left and all that. So anyway, we've gone. We already know this. It's back in the archive in the corner. You can
Well,
listen
we
back to
can't
it.
help it. Sometimes we just go down these sidebars, and because they all tie in some ways. So I guess that's our excuse. But it's so easy to do once you start reflecting. You're like, well, this is not what we were going to discuss, but we're already there. So what?
Yeah, there you go. Well, we got a bit more to discuss anyway. I know you wanted to talk about Naomi and the whole Cargill thing, because it was actually Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill, which is actually a pretty good match. I didn't think it would be over yet anyway, but Naomi attacks Cargill, and so obviously, I say obviously that's moving forward with that. So Jade might be finished with Naomi, but Naomi's not finished with Jade. But you had a bit of a pet peeve or a moment in when Naomi attacked Jade that didn't quite, and I think a lot of people picked up on this, Tyler. But let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, I do, and I'm going to preference this with respect because it's easy for me to be critical. But I will say, if you're going to suspend your disbelief, and mistakes are going to happen, even with the professionals, and Naomi is great. I'm a huge supporter of Naomi, so I don't want this being taken out of context. And normally I don't always agree with all the fans on this, but if you're going back and watching it, and you're wanting us to believe you're actually hitting your opponent, you've got these issues that are very serious with Jade Cargill, and I'm referencing Naomi that when she came in and this is the only part I really saw, and she attacked Jade Cargill. It looked almost like she was gonna do a double axe handle, but they were punches, some rights and lefts. The problem with it was they were not connecting. They were not landing, and it's one thing if you could hide it somewhat, or maybe the camera angles could kinda do some magic tricks or whatever, but the thing is, when you can see that visibly, where they're not even touching, Jade Cargill, I mean, that's disappointing to me
Yeah.
because if I really think you're mad at this lady, then at least make them look like they're connecting. It just
It almost looked like she was just
once again
flapping her arms. She was sat on top of Jade,
yeah,
like it just
yeah, exactly. It was almost like a girl's temper tantrum, which maybe that's what they were going for, and I'm overanalyzing it, which I tend to do.
a lot of people picked up on
But
it
at
though. I
this
mean, because there was a moment I was watching, I was going, "What are you? You look like you're doing a Bronco or something. I don't know what you're doing here." Like it's, and I didn't know if they were meant to be
Yeah,
slaps or
right.
punches, but it just didn't look like anything was connecting. Almost, yeah, it just like you said, the personal rivalry that's here that started by Naomi by putting Jade through a windshield of a car. It's not, it's not helping.
And this is what you do. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, I'm not trying to be harsh. Like I've stated, I've got nothing but respect for all these athletes, especially
Yeah,
Naomi. I'm so happy and thrilled for this new persona. I love it. But as much as I was all for the promos leading up and the match at WrestleMania and how they actually gave these two ladies time, and obviously we're not done. It'll go into Backlash, is what I'm assuming. You've got to give me some more though. Make me feel like those are
just
going to
don't do that,
hurt.
innit?
I mean,
Just don't flap your arms around like
yeah,
you're not even like
yeah.
yeah. Again, like you said,
And
maybe it
maybe
was a tantrum. I don't know. Maybe that was what they were going for, but it didn't.
well,
You know, I don't think it
and it
worked.
could be, but no, I think it just missed. And things are going to happen. I mean, even with the pros, it's just it's a shame. I'm not saying I could do it, but if you're supposed to make me believe, then
Yeah.
at least make them look like you're hitting her.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
exactly. Yeah,
I
no, I know what you mean. If anybody's seen it, I think they're going to understand where you're coming from. But the match they had at Mania was good, and I enjoyed it overall. There are a few moments,
I
but
thought it was very good. I
yeah,
mean, it actually surprised me with how well they not only gave them time, but the way those two ladies worked the match. I thought whoever the agents were laid it out very well.
there were a few moments in the actual match at Mania where feel like Jade forgot. I don't know, just there were a few that didn't quite connect with me, but overall it was good. So I'm not taking it away. But yeah, with that, if you're gonna, it's like when you see someone. I think we said this back a couple of years ago with, I think it was with, I can't. I think Logan Paul was involved, but I can't remember who the rival was.
It may have been.
But instead of, if you hate somebody, you don't think I'm going to kick them in the face. You think I'm going to punch them in the nose. I'm going to punch them in the face.
Was it Ricochet or was it
Yes,
somebody
it
else?
was He did the
before he
flip.
left for AEW.
Yes.
It may have been him and
It
Ricochet.
was Ricochet.
Or
You
he
are.
and Ricochet.
It was Ricochet. Now, Ricochet is phenomenal in the ring, and the moments he's created with Logan Paul has been brilliant. But he did that sort of weird backflip. I can't remember. He wasn't a punch. He's supposed to hate this guy. He's making comments about his girl, and he, instead of punching him in the face, he did like a weird flip or something, wasn't it? And it was just
Right.
Huh?
It just didn't connect.
No.
Yeah, it made you think these guys are just getting mad, and he's ripping on Samantha Irvin, who is his wife, I believe, or he's engaged to her. That was the former ring announcer for WWE, and you want to see Ricochet beat up on Logan Paul, and then there's this weird move, or maybe it was Logan Paul that did the flip. I'm trying to recall,
I mean,
but
do the
still,
move,
it needs to connect.
Yeah, do the move in the match or do the move after. But if you hate somebody, you do a double leg takedown, punch him in the face, or you punch him in the face, or you kick
Just
him in the
brawl,
balls.
just fine,
brawl,
yeah.
exactly. Or kick him in the balls. Either way. But it just
Yeah, low blowing.
just
Say, take
anything.
this. You're going to sing soprano, as JR used to say on commentary.
Wrestling is in here, and I'm pointing to my chest, so it's a feeling. You feel it. So when people do stuff like that, it's like, for fuck, just punch him. In your head, you're like, I'm going to punch that guy or slap him in the
Yeah,
face.
I
You
can't
know,
stand this guy. You got to react. It's got to be emotional. You got to no different than if it's happening in real life. You've got to suspend your
yeah,
disbelief.
but
And sometimes that is still a thing that I think that is missing.
yeah,
I will say in wrestling, and I'm not doing it to be harsh. I think they've done a great job with a lot of angles, but some I feel like, but that's with any generation or era of wrestling. To be fair, so
yeah.
once again, I'm not trying to be overly critical, and I don't think I have been, but
I
I
d-
do miss where back in the '80s or '90s, sometimes you would, and I'm sure the '70s, and you would get these kind of storylines where somebody's running over somebody with a car. I mean, no different than what they do backstage now with somebody getting slammed into a windshield. Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, what happened and led up to their WrestleMania match and that street fight. But you do miss some of those moments where it's like, wow, I believe them. This is real, and
yeah,
I think sometimes that's still missing. That's nobody's fault. I think it's hard nowadays because unfortunately, with the websites and you can't always believe what you read, but there's a lot coming out, which they probably I think now wrestling promotions are using that to their advantage because they're like, well, if they think this way, we'll flip the scripts or make them believe it. We're going to lead them with this new
yeah,
age of information. So it's very interesting now.
yeah, definitely. All right, very quickly before we move on to Raw, then. I want to make a quick mention of we had the TLC match for the tag titles. Street Profits retaining a good match overall. A bit spotty, and when I mean that spot fest, I'm not dissing it though, but it had moments. But overall, it was a good match. A lot of fans kicking off. I think I've already addressed this, but kicking off about it should have been at Mania. Maybe it should have, maybe it shouldn't. But ultimately, there was enough tag team matches on the 2-night WrestleMania. Putting a third with it in it. That's not to say that it's not important. Maybe would convolute it a little bit. So I think it was clever to have it on a SmackDown. You want to get the fans, excited because everybody talks about the Raw after Mania. So SmackDown after Mania is normally good as well. So, but it's keeping those people watching.
Why not have a WrestleMania or a PLE type match on your show to make it feel important? Like you aforementioned, you can't fit everything on a WrestleMania card. You can't fit everything on a Backlash card. So you're giving these people, if they're paying for cable, if they're paying for streaming, something essentially that's the equivalent of being free on free TV on USA
Yeah,
on a big network. Why not give them this type of match? The atmosphere, you can tell it makes sense. It's logical. All these teams have been battling each other. Why not stick them in there? You've got high stakes. You've got the prize being the tag tunnels. Sure, there was a lot of spots, but I did enjoy the prosthetic leg. I didn't get to watch the match, sadly, in
yeah, that
its
was good.
entirety, but I did enjoy. I
Yeah,
mean, if fans are going to participate, why not? The guy was willing to use his prosthetic leg, and I think it was Montez Ford who used it, and I forget which person he used it on. You can help me out, Benny, but it was now that was cool. I didn't expect it. So they had a lot of nice surprises in the little bit of the match that I got to actually
reminded
see.
me of the ECW days when they used to bring your weapon matches and stuff like that, didn't it? So now we've had that happen. Because to tell you something, I'm not actually addressed since I've been back is the signs back in the crowd that the WWE are actually embracing again. Because there was a lot of times over the last 8, 9, 10 years that signs were being taken off fans, whereas now that doesn't seem to be happening. They're actually encouraging, sign of the day or sign of the night or whatever it is. So, and then throw the prosthetic leg in there as well. It was absolutely hilarious. I loved it. It was a brilliant moment, and for the person who's what a moment for that person. We'll never forget that. Oh yeah, they used my leg in the TLC match on SmackDown. So
Oh, that'll be everywhere. It already is. Let me correct myself, and yeah, that'll be a viral moment for the ages. I mean, the guy's prosthetic leg, it made history. He did as well by helping out. But yeah, very reminiscent of hardcore ECW days, and I was just waiting for you to start chanting ECW.
yes,
Paul
yeah,
Heyman still gets a kick out of it, whether they're in Philadelphia or some other town, but especially in Philadelphia because that was their
yeah.
home base, and
The
so
fact
it
you
made
said
sense to put him in the Hall of Fame in Philly too. I've got some friends up there. They understand it better than I do. So
The fact you said get a kick out of it, I don't know whether you did that on purpose or not, but there we go. The false leg was used and they got a kick out
yeah,
of it.
get a kick out. I see what you did there. Where's the? If only we had the drum cymbal or drum roll like they did on late night TV, Fallon or Letterman or whoever else you want to throw in there.
I'll try to remember to put. I used to put sound effects on, didn't I? I don't do it so much anymore, but I have to. We've got to mention it very quickly because it surprised me and it was a good moment. Zelina Vega finally winning a singles championship. She's now the new Women's United States champion. It was. Do you know what? It was a really good match. It was a really good match. I enjoyed that United States title match. And you could tell it meant a lot to Zelina as well. And obviously, the same night, as people who may not know, her husband is Malachi Black for AEW fans. I know you wanted to talk about it. I really enjoyed this match, Tyler, and I love the fact that she's now she's a champion, US champion. It's brilliant.
I'm very happy for Zelina Vega. If you just look at her story going back to September 11th and how I think her dad was a real life victim of those terror attacks, and just that already makes you want to cheer her on and just appreciate her journey to the WWE. And she's made a name for herself, I believe, in TNA and some other well-known promotions, but especially on this stage. And to get the moment, I believe somebody, to their credit, on social media posted a picture of Vega holding the U.S. belt. I think that's back when she was managing Andrade, and he was the U.S. champion. So what a full circle moment that she beats Chelsea Green, who, by the way, has just been amazing as the
Yeah.
U.S. champion. She's originally from Canada. I think it's brilliant. And she's an American citizen now. She's I don't care where she's from. She's just been
Well, she's going to go down in history as the
amazing.
first women's US champion as well. So,
Yeah. So congrats to her. And I love how they've found a place for Piper Niven and Alba Fire
Yes,
and everything
I
to
love
be
that.
the e-service, not the Secret Service, but the e-service, which I laugh every time. But they are just terrific, and it was a great match. The finish is actually the only part I actually got to see. But I I believe you, Benny. I'm sure the whole thing was just
It was a great
unbelievable.
match.
So
It
I
was
can't
good.
say enough good things, and I want to compliment and congratulate Selena Vega on beating Chelsea Green and becoming the women's, United States
Yeah.
champion. It takes me a while to get used to it. And Aleister Black and Selena Vega, they are married in real life, like Benny mentioned, and there was a sweet photo of them embracing backstage too.
I did see
I
that
don't know if you
actually. It was good.
saw
Yeah,
that.
no, I did.
Okay,
No, I
yeah.
did. Yeah. Cool. We've gone a bit longer than I imagined, but either way, we're going to move on to Raw.
We did. We kind of, those sidebars throws us off.
Absolutely. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. You can follow the show at In the Corner WWE on X, and obviously follow the network at SJP World Media. Very quickly, not very quickly, but Stephanie Valkyrie again is on Raw. She had another great match actually against Ivy Nile. And she's the NXT Women's Champion. She's getting a lot of time on Raw. We also have the other as women coming in, as I mentioned at the top of the show, coming in and throwing their 2 cents in with Yulia and is it Cora Jade? And so yeah, but
Well, I think maybe Roxanne Perez.
Roxanne Perez. Sorry, I get confused with those two.
No.
I really do.
No,
I really do.
they look a little similar too, and with their ring attire. So Cora Jade may have been on Raw. So you're not off, but I was thinking it may be Perez.
It was Perez.
So
I stand
sure.
corrected. It was Perez. I stand corrected. But yeah, the sort of I have seen Stephanie Valkyrie on Raw is brilliant. I'm assuming we're going to see her on the main roster full time at some point very soon. Don't know this for a fact. But again, Ivy Nile's one of those people, a bit like in a sense of like she's good in the ring. I don't think we've seen the full potential of her yet. But she had a great match with Valkyrie, and Valkyrie looks freaking amazing. Obviously, NXT Women's Champion, as I've already said. So, I mean...
Oh, I agree. I mean, she's impressive.
You
Just
are,
the little bit I've got to see of Stephanie Vaquera, or however you phrase it. We were laughing. Benny's got the right pronunciation. I'm probably all over the map on it, but she's a talented lady. Avi Now is also very talented from her group, and it was just great to see these ladies getting the opportunities on the main roster, and Avi Now too. Regardless of whether they're in NXT or up on the main roster, it's great to see this mixture after WrestleMania. So I was just going to add, I like seeing it. It's fresh. It's good.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's fresh. Yeah, yeah, it was because she took on. Sorry, I've lost the blimmin'. Rhea Ripley and Roxanne Perez. Yeah, you are right. I always get the Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. I don't know why I mix them up, but I do.
Well, I believe they were a team for one thing in NXT. I don't follow it much, but I did see enough where maybe they were either rivals and maybe teamed up. So I can see where
Yeah.
you can kind of get them, and I would do the same thing. I would have thought Cora Jade too, because they, other than Cora Jade being a little taller, I mean, they kind of look similar in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. The main thing I want to talk about Raw, because we're time is getting away from us. At some point this show might be live, so we might end up doing some a live show, but we'll see when that happens, because the schedule last week went away from me, and I don't want to announce like a live show and then next week I can't do it. So I want to try and make sure it's locked in on a Sunday. But so the main thing I want to take from Raw, Seth Rollins, we've got Braun Breaker with him. This is the first time we've seen them together since last week, since the Braun Breaker was kind of helped Seth with Roman and CM Punk. Sami Zayn comes out, is not happy with Seth. You're basically calling Seth a hypocrite, because he's kind of creating a group slowly. There's people online like myself, and I have also kind of partaked in this a little bit, who we think might join this little Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins group. Where this is going to go, people are talking about maybe Becky might jump in. Very quickly with Becky, because I was going to talk about this, but I'll very quickly just mention it, Tyler. I'm not fully brought and sold on Becky being a heel yet, but I think what needs to what needs to change for me is, although I believe when she was doing her promo, I believed it, but she's almost shouting it all the time. And I think actually if she was to take a step back and just talk slowly and with purpose and be a bit more like, I don't care what you people think. I think, she explained herself. It turns out it was her that attacked Bayley at Mania, took her out of the match. None of this whodunit stuff, so we've got all that to come. But this screaming, shouting thing, I think it would have been really simple for her at one point just to call Lara Valkyria a bitch, basically, rather than saying a punk or whatever she called her. And I know there's probably a limit on how many swear words they can have in the show, but she doesn't need to be this loud, shouty. When you're a face and you're a good person, a good guy, then good, whatever you want to call it, a face, shouting to a degree to get it does work. But the heel thing, I think, I feel like she could be a bit more calculating and cold rather than what she did do. So, just your thoughts.
I don't like it. You're not off on it. I think too, when you're slower too, and as long as the delivery is personal, I'm not saying she's not trying to be personal with this side of her persona. I think it was, I get they're wanting the rivalry with Lyra Valkyria and the connection with Dublin and Ireland and all that's all neat and fine, but I feel like this may have got rushed. I mean, I get they had to tell the story for Becky to come back, so she's the one that attacked Bayley, and you could see it from the week prior when Becky Lynch had the look. Like, it wasn't so obvious, but you can tell she was happier the night before, and something might happen in the tag team match. But what little bit I got to see, I was just like, I can understand Becky Lynch at times, and that's unlike her. It's like with her accent, and I say that respectfully, because like you said, it was a lot of shouting, and it's hard to understand promos. I know the old school wrestling promos, we couldn't understand a word. Sai shared one about, God rest his soul, John Tenta, an earthquake, and speaking of another guy that sadly died, Dino Bravo, and they were just shouting. He said they must have been on cocaine or something, the way they were speaking, but and it wasn't quite to that degree, but it was like still. slow down, Becky. I mean, and I shouldn't be saying that to the man because she's awesome, but
But
and I like Valkyria.
yes,
I
yeah,
think she's great. As I was trying to get her name right, but that's the thing. The problem is going to be though they're going to want to cheer Becky though, because I kind of feel bad for Lyra because she'll probably get a mixed reaction because it is Becky Lynch and it's hard. You really can't get out of that box once you've got the match booked. I think it'll be a good rivalry as far as the match quality. I just don't know if these promos don't improve or get better. Not that they need any advice from me, but I'm talking like you're saying they need to make me think these two girls can't stand each other. I mean, if you're going to turn on somebody and you heard Bailey, you've got to make me buy into it. Just
yeah.
like I said with some of the other stuff. So I hate to say this about Becky, but I'm not. I hope the presentation improves, and hopefully it will. I didn't like it. I thought it. You're right. You couldn't understand her. It was and Lyra finally you could understand her, and she was okay with her rebuttal, but and she tried to stand her ground. But it's kind of one of those moments where you don't want the Tiffany Charlotte thing, but you kind of want her to kind of say some mean things about Becky, not cross a line, but we need to get there. We
I
yeah,
just
if they need to swear or need to let
yeah.
it be a little loose, then do it.
I mean, you have to swear all the time, but like it's something it does add to it. But when we had Becky be heel before, she didn't really change. She changed the way she dressed, and she has some amazing outfits and all that kind of stuff. And Seth clearly stole her wardrobe at some point, or it's not as bad now, but at least on this past week's Raw. But she was still very Becky Lynch, if that makes any sense. But I think just more of a cult because she turned on Lyra after losing the tag titles. Why not be a bit just colder and a bit more standoffish and a bit more just slower with her? I don't care. I don't care about you. You don't have to scream at me because Lyra kind of did, but I said that I just think there's a way you could do this a bit better and change Becky again to evolve into more of a colder sort of like, I don't care about anybody now. I'm here for championships. I'm here for money. I'm here for whatever. And she doesn't have to be
Right.
screaming and shouting. In fact, just get in the ring. Like I said earlier, get in the ring and punch, just throw some punches, and just be,
Yeah, get physical if you need
maybe
to.
that will change as
I
we
mean,
go through. I don't know, but
yeah, it probably will. And once again, got to be patient sometimes with these things. But
of course, yeah,
and maybe they're just testing Lyra too with to see how she's going to do and Becky with this whole angle and because she's new, so they're seeing how a lot of these great talents are going to be able to present themselves, handle themselves with getting this big spotlight being on Raw. I mean, nothing against NXT, that's a great spotlight, but now you're climbing the ladder eventually, and
absolutely.
she's got a women's championship. She's correct me if I'm not right, the women's intercontinental champion, and so it, and I almost forget there's a title at stake because the promo throws me off, and where I hadn't watched enough, and I'm just now getting called back up.
Yeah,
And I'm glad they've made the women's titles, but I still it makes me think. No offense, I don't want anybody taking this the wrong way, but I'm so used to just having the regular intercontinental title and U.S. title, but I in the same vein, I'm very happy the women have these belts. So it's just a lot to keep up with now. E- Even for us fans that have been back and forth with it, maybe you've stayed with it all year. I don't know for those
it's
who
still
are
good. You
listening.
still, I mean, it's great that they've got their own mid card titles now. They've got a tag team division. They've got a heavyweight, women in a world title division. It's great to have these mid card, but it is still somewhat getting used to it because we've only had Lyra Valkyria is the first women's intercontinental champion, as we just discussed very quickly. Zelina Vega is now the second woman ever to be the US champion, Chelsea Green being the first. So it's a building process now. In a couple of years' time, as long as they keep on top of it and keep the matches good and it prestige, then it will be good. I mean, even the men's Intercontinental Championship had kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit. Then Gunther had his run of 666 days, I beg your pardon. So it's just, you've got to make it mean something. And obviously at the moment, because they're new, yes, it's great that they've got it, but we've got to now build the respective divisions to make them mean more than just being women's world champion or, do you know what I mean? So it just, you've got to build it up. So
I do. I know exactly what you mean, Benny. And two, it may be the thing with Charlotte that's why she seems to be brought back because just like Becky, because they're the two cornerstones for the WWE.
Well,
So
yeah,
maybe if they're going to build stars, why I don't care what the criticisms may be. Why not bring those ladies back? But I do want Bailey to be in a big time program because I did see where Baron Corbin, the guy that formerly was known as Baron Corbin, did unload on the company for not, speaking of WWE, for not letting Bailey have a WrestleMania moment. And while I agree with him on it and respect his perspective, and it shows you how much he admires Bailey as a performer and a person. And I just think that it's so hard to cram everything into those cards. I mean, but I would love for Bailey, and I think this will open the door for Bailey to come back and probably get involved to where she either helps out Lyra or at least it sets up some matches between her and Becky, and that would be reliving some great history in
yeah.
the Four Horsewomen and knowing all those great feuds. So
I don't know how it would play out because a lot of people have been talking about. Because I'm going to get back to the. I mean, we haven't even spoke about Cena and Orton. That's been signed for Backlash. We'll get onto that next week. So I'm not overly bothered. We will get another show out next week and we'll talk because obviously we're going to be having the build for Backlash anyway. So we will discuss Orton and Cena in the next episode. So, but just because of time, basically, Tyler. That's all. Otherwise, but
no, correct.
But a lot of people are speculating. So Sammy, as I was getting, the only reason I mentioned Becky is because it kind of leads into what I was going to talk about to a degree. So ultimately, Sammy is saying that what you're doing here, Seth, is no different from what Roman's done in the past and what you've hated. So aren't you a hypocrite? Seth basically says, "Well, we've been friends for 20 years. I don't want to hurt you. We don't want to hurt you. We think we'll get you. We can pull some strings and get you moved to SmackDown, so you don't have to get caught up in this." This essentially what Seth's trying to do with Heyman and Braun Breaker, I think, is take over Raw and be this new stable of what it's not called a stable yet. It's not had a name yet. We just got Paul Heyman guys. A lot of people are now. Sammy ultimately says no to this. Unfortunately, takes a couple of spears and does get the curb stomp from Seth, and that's how Raw goes off the air, basically. And yeah, it's just. But what I was getting at, a lot of people have been online talking about who else is going to join these people. And a lot of people are speculating because Becky turned on the same night. Is Becky going to join her husband with this thing? But a lot of other people are kind of also comparing it to Evolution, which I can kind of see. Now, I'm a fan of Austin Theory, as you all know. So I thought Austin Theory could fit in there quite well. But we've also got that. So Braun Breaker, let's base it on Evolution quickly. Braun Breaker is kind of the Batista. Seth is the Triple H. You could call Paul Heyman kind of the Ric Flair, I guess, to a degree. You chuck an Austin Theory in there, he could be the Randy Orton, So, but as we were talking, I'm thinking, what if Bailey joins that group? It could be very interesting. But there's a load of names flying about. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Bailey would change up things for sure. I could see Becky and Austin Theory too. I think that would be great. Eventually, he's going to break away from Grayson Waller at some point, or got to. And so there's a lot. I'm trying to think out of the whole roster, even NXT and all both the brands, Raw and SmackDown, who would fit that group. I don't know if you want to use any former Bloodline members or not. I'll tell you, this will be crazy because he's such a baby face right now, and he's doing a great job. But the guy that did have the U.S. title, if he was on Raw or there was a draft, imagine L.A. Knight in that group.
That could
That's
be.
crazy, I know,
That's
but
not a name that anybody has really mentioned, so that would be really cool. And I love this when we get to score. Go, oh, that would be cool. That would be cool. So I have no idea who's going to join this group. If
I don't either.
even if anybody does, we're assuming there's going to be somebody else. Becky logically would make sense because it's Seth's wife. I get that, but I don't know. I think either I'm not saying don't have a female superstar in there, but does it have to be Becky? No. Bailey could be very interesting. There's plenty of women that could join that group and be the Paul Heyman girl, so to speak, or woman. Sorry. But let's. I feel.
Do you think Charlotte that may be out? Well, I'm losing my words, but off base too, Could it be? Could Charlotte,
Charlotte
be
could be another. It could
possibility?
be interesting, yeah, as well. Carmelo Hayes, I think he's doing his own thing now, so maybe not so much.
Oh yeah, Hayes would be. Yeah, I could see. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. Yeah,
yeah.
Carmelo Hayes. The
My personal
Miz. I
favorite
mean,
is Austin
once he's
Theory.
done, yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
I mean, they can make the Miz work, but
The
I
Miz,
like
yeah.
Theory though. I do. Yeah.
Karrion Kross, maybe could be another one.
Now there's an endless just list of possibilities, and
Possibilities,
it's
yeah.
got me thinking. I really don't have a problem with any of them, and maybe there's a newer woman. Oh gosh, what if they tease Becky? And though I know they're probably wanting to have Rhea be the good person, or kind of the tweener at least. What if Rhea Ripley was in that group?
Wow,
Holy cow, her and Braun
interesting,
Breaker.
interesting, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of pieces that can make it fascinating. I mean, what if Drew McIntyre was actually a Paul Heyman guy,
Interesting.
knowing his history
Also
with
interesting.
Seth? Yeah,
Yeah,
but they
interesting.
can align. I mean, I don't know either. I'm
But-
just freestyling a bunch of crap. I don't
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. But then Braun Breaker's kind of the muscle, if that makes sense, isn't he?
Well,
So
that's true. So you don't want to overdo it. That's
Yeah.
true. You'd have two,
Then you'd have
so
two.
with
So
Drew
that's why I
and
think
Braun.
Austin Theory, because you've got the seriousness of Braun, you've got the talker in Seth and Paul Heyman, obviously. I honestly would like Austin. I personally would put Austin Theory in there, but having said that, a female superstar could work just as well, and it doesn't have to be limited to. And we're all assuming there is going to be somebody else at this point. We don't know if there is, because this story is only just beginning.
No, we don't.
This does leave the way for CM Punk and Roman Reigns to possibly team up going forward against this former wise man and former best friend. I'm already speculating. I think a lot of people are already. This is going to head into War Games, I think, going as we build this up. Someone did put a mate of mine said, because out of the bloodline, everybody is benefited. Roman's now in a position where they tried to put Roman back all those years ago. They wanted to be the babyface, and he got booed out of a building. And then they eventually went, let's just do him as a heel, and it worked. Jey Uso was obviously the world champion. Sammy is on the cusp of main eventing, or having a world title at some point, I think. I genuinely think that, at some point in the next 18 months, but, only so many people can be champion. The only one that's really not probably benefited the most, I think, and this is not being harsh, but Jimmy is not necessarily, yes, he's in a good position, but he's not, and he is going to be in a better place than he was, obviously, but he hasn't maybe gone full on as like his brother has, if that makes sense. So, but like you said, do you want a former bloodline member in there? Probably not.
No, because I think it dilutes it with respect. As great as the bloodline has been, we've not always agreed with that it's been strong all the time. There's always going to be something you pick apart, but for an overall storyline and group, they've to say successful is an understatement, obviously. But Sami Zayn, I thought he's always great. He's like the Miz with these promos. He's very good. He's very convicting, and I do like how he called out Seth on his comments about being a hypocrite, and if Kevin Owens did not get hurt, the only thing is you don't want to rehash that too much, because they're either fighting each other or they're a tag team, which either way works. I would say you could evolve KO, but with that neck injury that's very severe, I don't know when we'll see him back or if that'll even work here. You may not want to go to the well too many times. Like you're saying, you want to freshen things up. So I'm anxious to see on the other side of this story who's going to help Sami Zayn now. Maybe it will be Punk and Roman, though they're on SmackDown. Maybe we'll eventually get a draft, or they'll still mix in talent from time to time. I mean, they're having to do it with the GMs because Adam Pearce, I think, really did have something he had to do. Maybe it was a medical thing or something of that nature, and Nick Aldis stepped in, which was neat to see Nick Aldis. As much as I enjoy him on SmackDown, pretty cool to see him be on Raw, though. So, who knows? I mean, I think it's a fun time. I like speculating, though, seeing the what ifs, what's going to happen.
I mean, one name we haven't mentioned is obviously because of the beatdown, but Sami Zayn did enter my head at one point. Maybe this is just because there was a moment when he was celebrating with Jay after Mania where he stood behind Jay and it looked like maybe we were about to see and even the crowd picked up on it, and they were a bit like, "Ooh, what's going on here?" So,
Oh yeah, it took a while for him to embrace him. I
Yeah.
mean, they milked it.
So, but yeah, I honestly, I love the fact that I don't know. There's so many possibilities here. Like I said, man,
Yeah, I
woman,
do.
whatever. A Paul Heyman woman, another Paul Heyman guy. Whatever's going to happen.
I think that's cool though. A Paul Heyman woman. That whether it happens or not, that's kind of neat. You get
Yeah,
the Paul
definitely.
Heyman guys. Why not maybe it's women. Maybe there's another.
I mean, we had Seth with Buddy Murphy back a while back, obviously during that when he had that thing going on and the disciple
And
type thing.
he
going
also
on.
had Theory, so that would make a lot of sense because
Yeah.
Theory was a part of that group. Yeah.
No matter
the
what
pandemic era.
Yeah, no matter what happens, it's going to be interesting. I'm intrigued to see where this goes, and we're only just getting started with this 100%. So, but yeah, Tyler, mate, appreciate it. Always love talking to wrestling with yourself.
Well, I appreciate you, Benny. I always have a great time. I've not done podcasts in a while, so I've got to knock the podcast rest off, not just with ring
Same.
rest. Speaking of wrestling, but you've been a great help with it, and I want to thank you again for another opportunity to discuss some current WWE and maybe some other wrestling promotions as we go along.
Yeah, well, definitely. We're both fans of wrestling. It's just having time in the day to watch certain ones. I'm more of a WWE person. I always have been, really. I tried. I mean, I caught the tail end of a bit of WCW and a bit of ECW, but I didn't really get into it till 2000. And by that point, WCW was dwindling. And
it was terrible. Yeah,
so,
that was a bad year to start watching WCW because it did have some better years.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Evidently.
Well, I understand.
Yeah,
Nitro
I
Nights
can understand.
I understand Nitro Nights is coming back to SJP as well at some point. So
awesome!
Keeping
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Where else can we? Obviously, you're going to be finishing up softball season soon, baseball season soon. So any plans?
Whatever sport I'm doing now. The softball season still has the postseason. So
okay.
Hopefully we go far. So it's finishing up. The regular season has actually concluded, and so has for the baseball. High school team. Of course, I don't do the announcing there. I did for the middle school. That's right next to the high school, not to be confusing. But they had me do a couple games. Who knows? Maybe I'll do another one. But I can't do one on Thursday because I'm booked to do. I say booked. Listen to me. Now I'm talking wrestling, but to do the announcing for softball, it's
you're
in
turn
my
heel.
head.
You're going to turn heel. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, somebody's going to turn heel babyface during the softball game. Who knows? But regardless, I've loved doing it. I've enjoyed it. I've been very grateful and grateful to you, Benny, and everybody at SJP World Media and In the Corner, DTP Productions. Don't forget, you can find past and new episodes of Tyler's Takedowns and Tyler Talks Music. I did recently record just a quick episode, a new one that should be coming out either this weekend or next week or whenever we can get it out of Tyler's Takedowns. I reviewed an old classic match between Bruno Sammartino and superstar Billy Graham. I always want to preference it with but it's superstar Billy Graham. They had a great match in Baltimore for the old WWF title, and it had the extra W too. So you think I've got trouble saying the WWE or WWF? Tried saying it with the extra W back in the day, but that'll be out soon. So yeah, sorry to go lengthy, but I thought I would give everybody a heads up on a new episode that'll should be coming out soon. Yeah.
Awesome. Mate, I appreciate it. You can follow the show, obviously, as I've already said, at In the Corner WWE on X, and also follow the network at SJP World Media. Tyler, mate, appreciate it. Hopefully we can talk again next week for some more In the Corner, some more WWE, and
I hope so.
We'll get into the John Cena and the Randy Orton stuff and whatever else has been going on. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you again next week.